It was an intense and emotionally charged weekend in New York. The Chicago White Sox won 2 of 3 from the Yankees and swept a doubleheader on Sunday. The lights were not too bright for Michael Kopech or Tim Anderson, and Johnny Cueto delivered once again. The Sox are now 1 game over 500. Can these 2 wins in New York spark a change?
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. I really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm going to get into all of that nonsense of Josh Donaldson, the continued offensive struggles with runners in scoring position, the excitement of Johnny Cueto. But first, how about Sunday's White Sox action? State of the Sox, your White Sox are 21-20, chasing the Minnesota Twins by 4 games. Sox swept both games of the doubleheader in New York on Sunday, lost game 1 on Saturday. Going to get to all of that stuff. First, game 2, Sunday night. It was an ESPN game. The lights were bright, a lot of drama coming into the game, and the Sox beat the Yankees 5-0. A lot going on in this game. Michael Kopech was absolutely outstanding. It was his longest start of his young career as a starting pitcher. A brilliant performance. They were talking about how the weather was, sticky, humid in the 80s, and it just felt like he was loose. He was in command of all his pitches. This was a guy that was on the paternity leave just a couple of days ago. He just became a father once again, I believe. Maybe it was his first time. I'm not sure, but he became a dad. And days later, he's on the mound in Yankee Stadium. And what a performance it was. You were starting to get a feeling of maybe this is a no-hitter. Okay, if you checked on the White Sox app, on the MLB app, they had the red flag. They flagged it for it was a perfect game as we were in like the 5th or 6th inning. It was that kind of start for Michael Kopech. All of his pitches were working. He had his A stuff, his A+ stuff, and he mentioned it in the post game. Let me just fast forward you to the 7th inning, because he was mowing these guys down. All of the Yankees were in the lineup aside from Donaldson in game 2, but all of the stars were there, and he was taking care of business. He was at 86 pitches with 2 outs in the 7th, 2 men on. Okay, the no-hitter's gone. The perfect game is gone. This is when we've seen maybe Kopech unravel a little bit in previous moments, especially last year, maybe earlier this season. He starts, walking a couple guys. The pitches are flying all over the place. Not the case here. He was throwing 99 miles per hour. Florial was up for the Yankees. He was at the 90 pitch mark, still throwing heat. And then a huge strikeout on Florial to end the 7th. Tons of emotion for Michael Kopech and McGuire, who caught Kopech. And how about McGuire's game? McGuire has caught Every start of Michael Kopech this season, he did a fabulous job with the bat as well. Just an awesome game. With a day off here coming up on Monday, and there's not any White Sox baseball to watch, there's nothing wrong with rewatching that Sox game and watching the highlights from Michael Kopech. He went 7 innings, only gave up 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. His ERA is down to 1.29. Struck out Judge twice. This was the 8th start for Michael Kopech here in 2022. And he's just getting stronger. You could tell with every start. We have got enough of a sample size now on Michael Kopech. And I'm confident that I know when he is pitching, it's a must see now. Okay. You need to tune in to Michael Kopech to see what he's going to do, but you have a good feeling of what he's going to give you. This was Kopech's 2nd outing against the Yankees in just, in a week's time. And he threw against the Sox in the 83 jerseys here in the South Side last Sunday. Now he's got the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. He has pitched 13 innings against the Yankees this year. He's only given up 2 hits, 3 earned runs, and 9 strikeouts. If anything is going to get you excited, it's got to be that line right there for Michael Kopech. This is a guy you just don't want to miss now when he's coming to the hill. Just a fabulous performance, and really glad ESPN interviewed him on SportsCenter immediately following the game, giving this guy some national exposure, because we've got guys now between Cease, Giolito, and Kopech. Lynn's coming soon, and we're going to talk about Cueto in a little bit. We've got guys that you just can't miss when they are on the mound. You got to watch them for what they're going to do. Foster and Lopez came in out of the bullpen after Kopech's night was over. Sox pitching held New York to 3 hits in game 2 of the doubleheader, only issued 2 walks, which is huge. And they needed it because the offense just wasn't going for a long period of time, which is not a surprise. This Chicago White Sox offense, feast or famine, and through 7 in the game 2 of the doubleheader, there was nothing going on, but there were opportunities. We had guys on almost every inning, couldn't do anything with it. The end line for runners in scoring position, Sox were 4 for 15. So if you felt it was bad, there's the number to prove it. We had 9 guys left on base. Robert struck out 3 times. He was 0 for 5. Moncada was 0 for 5. Moncada was up in big situations and just could not get the job done. We had bases loaded with nobody out, and we just couldn't get any runs through. That was early in the game. But the 8th inning, finally, that's when the fireworks happened for our Sox. That's when things really started to get exciting. Breu led things off with getting on in the 8th. We had men on the corners with 1 out. Lurie Garcia lined out, and he lined out hard. He hit it on the screws. I thought that was going to be it, but that was just an out in the box score. So something had to give, okay? We just were turned away too many times in game 2, and then finally, Andrew Vaughn, who needs to be playing more regularly, I hope this is a sign. Vaughn comes up with a huge RBI single. Then McGuire follows suit. Sox are up 2-0. And then here comes the moment, okay? With all the drama, everything going on with Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson after Saturday. Anderson didn't play in game 1. We're going to get to that. Anderson's playing in game 2. And everybody's talking about, what's the issue? What's the beef with Donaldson? What's going on? Can this team move on from that? Is this going to be maybe a spark for this team? Anderson getting booed by Yankee fans. Ridiculous. Comes up in the 8th with 2 guys on and boom, hits an opposite field bomb, 3-run home run. Mercy. Sox go up 5-0. For Tim Anderson to do that in that situation, in that spotlight, with everybody looking on him, with everything that's happened in the weekend, that is such a huge deal. I know the Field of Dreams game is going to go down as one, is a legendary game from Tim Anderson and the White Sox. But what he did in game 2 of this doubleheader that just happened, to put the Sox up under all that intense pressure and everything on that stage. That's right up there. That was a huge moment for Tim Anderson. Good on him. Good on this White Sox team. And what a performance by Michael Kopech. It's a shame that the Sox have a day off because you want this momentum going, but almost just kind of let this sink in, these two games that just happened on Sunday. Wow. What a Sunday it was. I'm going to talk about Johnny Cueto. I mean, he was nothing short of a magnificent on Sunday in game one, and his short time with the White Sox has been outstanding. I'm going to tell you why he's here to stay. More on that in a moment. Hey, I love brownies, but you know what I love more? Brownie batter. Imagine if you could lick that brownie spatula clean and get some protein in. You're in luck because Built has created something new. This one is better than ever. It's the Brownie Batter Puff. You heard me right. This puff takes protein bars to a whole new level, and they're available right now on Built.com. With 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 7 grams of sugar, Brownie Batter Puffs are the perfect pick-me-up for any day. All Built Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built, you can stay healthy and enjoy doing it. And they are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. The Brownie Batter Puffs will have you completely forgetting that you are eating a protein bar. No need to pinch yourself. This is real life. Go to Built.com to get Brownie Batter Puffs now. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So how about game one of the doubleheader, the Sunday doubleheader? It was Johnny Cueto on the hill. He's coming off of that great performance against the Royals. And you might have said to yourself, well, that was the Royals. They're a weaker team, still pretty magnificent, for Johnny Cueto to come here as a 36-year-old, through some games in AAA, ready for the bigs. Okay, you took care of the Royals. Well, what are you going to do in Yankee Stadium against the Yankees? There was no Tim Anderson in the lineup for game one. The wise and powerful Tony La Russa decided to hit Lurie in the 2-hole. Okay, Cueto's on the hill. Sox have given 41 different lineups in 41 games. I mean, that to me is a bit of a problem. There needs to be some consistency. I'm hoping once Jimenez comes back, you will see a string of consistent lineups. Maybe in the Boston series, maybe against the Cubs, maybe we can get a string of consistent lineups. Maybe with Vaughn hitting regularly higher in the lineup. I don't know. It's worth, again, a shot. I've been preaching about this here on this podcast. I just think there needs a little bit of a consistency. It's bizarre. 41 games, 41 different lineups. But here we go. You got Cueto on the hill. Let's hit some offense first. Third inning, Moncada bunts against the shift, gets a double out of it, sheets to third with the legend up, and Lurie Garcia strikes out to end that threat. How about the fourth inning? 2 on, 1 out, singles from Abreu and Pollock. Pollock coming into the double header, slashing 333, 375, 524. He was 2 for 4 in game one with that big home run. Yaz hits a single. Abreu scores. Sox are up 1-0. Still just 1 out with guys on the corner. Sheets is up. It was a long at bat, but he struck out. Then Engel with 2 outs. He strikes out. Could have got on the board. You got on the board, but could have done more. Could have really piled it on. Sox had 1 run, 6 hits. 1 walk, runners in scoring position, 1 for 5. 2 of their 6 hits were extra base hits. At that point, things were not going well kind of early on, low-scoring game for both teams. Cueto only gave up 3 hits through 4 innings pitched, 58 pitches at that point. He's not a strikeout pitcher, so he was cruising along pretty well. He's got that hitch windup and stop and start almost, throwing guys off, different motion every time. He's got the quick pitch. He's fun to watch. He puts the ball in play, lets the defense handle it. He'll have his strikeouts, but he's not a power pitcher where he's going to have double-digit strikeouts. Had a lot of movement on his pitches, a lot of horizontal movement. He's got that hitch going in his windup that I think was throwing the timing off of the Yankees. Cueto was at 90 pitches after 6 innings. He was dealing. Cueto gave you 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. His ERA is 0.00. He's pitched 12 scoreless innings in a White Sox uniform. That's great. That deserves him to be staying in this rotation. Going to have to figure out something with Keuchel and Velasquez, because I don't want to see those guys in place of a Johnny Cueto right now. You're going to have to make a decision, White Sox organization. These performances by Cueto, he gets the shot right now, especially against the Yankees. Cueto did come out for the 7th. He allowed a couple base hits. I was glad to see him come out in the 7th. He was on cruise control. I thought, with him pitching the way he's pitching, he's in a groove. He did come out for the 7th, gave a couple base hits up. So Kelly comes in relief, and he gets the job done in the 7th. And Graveman gives up a game-timing solo shot to Judge in the 8th. Then a double by Rizzo. Ball bounced off Roberts' glove as he slid to make the catch. Game was tied at 1. Again, not a ton of offense. It gave you some of those numbers up until this huge home run by A.J. Pollock in the 9th off of Aroldis Chapman. It was a no-doubter. He turned this one around. Sox go up 2-1. Chapman allows runners to advance through a pass ball. Engel scores. Big hit by Engel to score Vaughn. Sox go up 3-1. Great insurance run. Hendricks comes in to nail it down. His 13th save. I mean, credit Cueto, Pollock, Engel, Hendricks, and that. It was a gritty game 1. Again, offense just isn't happening for the Sox right now. They're leaving a lot of runners stranded, a lot of guys on. They could pile it on in certain situations, and they're not doing it. But this doubleheader, these 2 games in New York on Sunday, they in a weird way though, they did get it done when it absolutely mattered. Sure, it shouldn't have come down to it, but it did. And the big home run by Pollock, huge home run by Tim Anderson. It's great to see Pollock starting to hit now. I'd like to see him in the lineup consistently. It seems like he's starting to get his sea legs a little bit, and some of the swings he had were great. He looks like he's locked in a little bit, which is great to see. So Josh Donaldson, oh boy, Mr. Josh Donaldson, he reminds us why he is definitely on the White Sox most hated list. I'm going to tell you why this time is so different. More on that in a moment. So Saturday's game was a rough game. Sox lost 7-5. Sox had 5 runs on 11 hits, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts though. Our White Sox struck out 14 times and were 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Meanwhile, the Yankees had 7 runs, 8 hits, 6 walks, and only struck out 3 times. We struck out 14 times. Yankees struck out 3 times. Keuchel was on the hill, the same Keuchel that beat the Yankees last week. It was the only victory that the Sox had when the Yankees were in town. Keuchel only went 4 innings, gave up 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, 0 strikeouts, threw 84 pitches, gave up a big grand slam. I know it was out to the short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium. I know it might not have gone out at other parks, but it happened. The short porch is there for White Sox hitters too. Tim Anderson, hit his home run to right field in the short porch. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. But the Sox know that they're going to be playing in Yankee Stadium. It's on the schedule. They see it's happening. Maybe you take some of your batting practice swings, focus on trying to drive the ball to right field, utilize the short porch. I don't know. Again, easier said than done. Keuchel gave up the grand slam to the short porch. He had a short outing. Sox, really had no offense to speak of, aside from Abreu, a 3-run home run, which is great to see. Sox offense in a nutshell. Here you go. Here's the 7th inning. Sox at first and third, nobody out. Yaz strikes out. Pollock strikes out. Lurie strikes out. I mean, it just seems like there's a lack of focus. There's a lack of approach. There's a lack of a plan in place of how to move these guys over, how to have a productive out, swinging at pitches out of the zone. With all the technology and the tablets that are everywhere, you got to believe that when these guys go back to the dugout, somebody is shoving a tablet in their face and they're saying, look at what you're doing. Look at where they're pitching you. Look at this heat map. This is where you're swinging. They're not strikes. They're getting you to swing because they know you're going to chase. You have to be the change. That is the focus. That is the change that needs to happen with this Sox offense. Stop giving away outs, especially with runners in scoring position. The big talk, though, of Saturday was Josh Donaldson. A lot of chirping back and forth between him and Tim Anderson. What is going on? Bench is clearing. Grandal gets in Donaldson's face when Donaldson comes up to bat. They're jawing at each other. More folks coming in to try to separate everyone. It turns out that Josh Donaldson, referring to Tim Anderson as Jackie throughout the game, in reference to Jackie Robinson, because of a Sports Illustrated article from a few years back when Tim Anderson said that he felt he needs to be a new type of Jackie Robinson about having fun in the game, and he's going to be kind of the pioneer for that. It was unbelievable, the explanation from Donaldson, how he was just trying, back against the wall, trying to get his way out of it. After the game, Tony La Russa called it a racist comment, flat out, simple as that. It was a racist comment. When Tim Anderson was approached, he broke it down, kind of explained what was going on, said that Donaldson's been doing this for a while, and he doesn't appreciate it. It's disrespectful, and he's not here for that. Donaldson saying that it was like an inside joke, like we're two guys joking. Tim Anderson's okay with it. All of a sudden he seems to be not. I didn't mean it the way I meant. Spinning these yarns and these tales, and it just was really pathetic. Josh Donaldson is he's a mess, and so many guys popped off against him, from Grandal to Hendricks. We know what Giolito has said, calling him a pest in the past, and he lives up to that. And it was so great to see Grandal defend him and hear what Hendricks had to say, and for this team to kind of get Anderson's back right away. We know how valuable Tim Anderson is. There's no place in this game for what Donaldson's trying to do, and the excuses are just pathetic. It is not an inside joke if one person is not okay with it. Tim Anderson is not okay with it. And for you to think that you're buddies with Tim Anderson and you're having this type of back and forth with him and it's cool, that is a horrible excuse. I hope Major League Baseball takes care of this and suspends Josh Donaldson for his actions. And you need to set a precedent that this is not tolerated anymore. I am so happy for what Tim Anderson did in Game 2 of the doubleheader, put the Yankees in their place and really shut them up. With us we didn't have to get into a beanball war. We didn't have to throw at anybody. We didn't have to get suspended ourselves. We took care of business, and Tim Anderson led the charge with some outstanding White Sox pitching. Folks, thank you so much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast everywhere you find your podcasts. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, just call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues past and present, It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, coming up on the next episode, I'm going to get you ready for game 1 of the Boston Red Sox series. Thank you so much for joining me and making Locked On White Sox your first listen. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.